Hi guys, it's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. I didn't share my screen, so let's get this done. I remembered to make sure it's at 1.25 speed today because I'm a professional. And I got a brand new cup of coffee because I'm a professional. I'm really not a professional. They really don't give you any training to do this at all. You can just do whatever you want. And then you can do O.J. Simpson if you want. And a crazy world we live in. And I'm really smart. And I got a huge scholarship to Harvard. Yep, that sure happened. All right. So I don't even know what it means. I made a description for this video of something about a brother glove. I don't know what that means. I'm hoping that I'll figure it out during this. I don't know. So I think something happens with a glove with her, but I don't know. I could be wrong because I just listen to, what I read on the internet. Anyway, let's get started.
Now that you see the control swatch just as it's about to hit the control area next to stain number 5, would you agree that the discoloration we saw later on when you're actually about to lift the blood stain is moisture?
Guys, she is still being picked apart over a demonstration video she made doing only actions that the prosecution team wanted her to do to show the jury how to do a swab. And while she was doing this fake swab with no real blood, she dropped a swab on the floor or whatever. This is not an actual crime scene. This is just a video she was making. And she might have touched a swab with her finger because it was falling, or I don't know. All I know is that's what he's pointing out, all of her mistakes right here. This is just for a demonstration video. This is not what happened at the actual O.J. Simpson scene. Okay?
From the control swatch.
Well, it's a little hard to tell. It's possible.
Ms. Mazzola, do you actually see any discoloration in the area immediately adjacent to that blood stain in this picture before you put that wet control swatch on the ground?
I see the area slightly in front of the swatch, between the swatch and the stain itself.
Isn't the area at that point, Ms. Mazzola, fairly consistent and not darker, appreciably darker, in the immediate area where you're placing down the control swatch at this point? Isn't that a fair assessment of what's depicted here, ma'am?
It looks slightly darker to me, but...
All right, now could you go forward to where she's about to put down? Go a little bit further. Slow down. Slow down. Now do you see the discoloration created by the moisture emanating out from the control swatch?
Yes.
And that's a different color than the other discolorations in the pavement, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And you can see even at that point, the moisture has almost touched the blood stain, hasn't it?
There's still separation between
There's
the two.
still some separation there. Okay. Now, go forward to the next place where we're about to collect the evidence. Well, the swatch that you just picked up could be the same swatch that you would touch with the right hand to help stay in the cap, couldn't it? Stop. Now, Ms. Mazzola, can you see that the moisture has spread out from the control swatch so it is in fact touching the blood drop stain?
It appears to be.
And Ms. Mazzola, you're not supposed to do that, are you? Ms. Mazzola, you were instructed.
Counsel,
I'm withdrawing the question based on this objection.
when I start to rule, let me rule.
I'm sorry.
Overruled. Proceed.
Would you please?
When you received your instruction on how to collect bloodstain evidence, although you were taught to collect a control close to the bloodstain, you were also taught, Ms. Mazzola, not to allow the moisture from the control swatch to come into contact with the bloodstain. Isn't that correct?
I don't believe that was ever mentioned.
Well, Ms. Mazzola, if in fact that swatch itself had been contaminated by your dirty hand, for instance, would the contamination be transferred to the moisture that is emanating out from the swatch? Could that happen?
Overruled.
I don't know.
You don't know if it could happen?
I don't know if it could happen.
Well, if there was dirt on your hand and your hand came into contact with the control swatch, would you agree that it's possible that there could be a transfer of that trace evidence, of that contaminant, from your glove to the swatch?
It would be possible.
And would you agree, ma'am, that if that control swatch was moistened with water, that there could be a transfer of trace evidence from the swatch to the water?
There would be items from the ground in the water, but the blood stain itself is on the ground, so it's on the same substrate.
I'm simply, well, that assumes, does it not, Ms. Mazzola, that everywhere on the ground you have the same contaminants and the same substrate. Isn't that correct?
That close, the substrate would be approximately the same.
But Ms. Mazzola, when you put your right hand down on the ground, you didn't do that 2 inches away or 1 inch away from the blood drop. You did that several feet away, didn't you?
Yes.
And if your hand came into contact, the hand that touched the dirty pavement several feet away came into contact with a control swatch, it could contaminate the control swatch with whatever contaminant your right hand came in contact with, couldn't it?
If the hand came in contact with that particular swatch, yes.
Okay. And if that swatch then comes into contact with water, the water can pick up that contaminant, can't it?
The possibility.
And if that water then spreads outward and actually comes into contact with the bloodstain, then the bloodstain can come into contact with the very same contaminant that the right hand initially came into contact with. It's not a possibility.
A possibility, yes.
But it's your testimony that you were never instructed to keep the control swatch moisture not in contact with the bloodstain. They never taught you that at the Sid Mini Academy.
It was never a strong point that was brought up.
Well, was it a small point that was brought up?
I don't remember.
So is it the best of your recollection? It could have been, but you just don't recall?
I don't recall.
Well, as you sit here today, would it make sense to you as a criminalist not to let the moisture from the control swatch come into contact with the bloodstain?
That would be preferable.
Okay, can you go forward, please? Mr. Zoll, there's some difficulty in this swatch absorbing the bloodstain?
Yes.
One moment. Now, at that point, Mr. Zoll, did you just move the swatch into the area of moisture immediately adjacent to the bloodstain, where some of the control moisture was?
I can't tell if the swatch was touching the moisture or not.
Did it appear to you that it was, though? Please back up 3 seconds. Okay, now just go forward. Slow. Did it appear to you that at that point it's touching the moisture adjacent to the stain?
It's still hard to tell if it was actually
Okay.
touching.
So forward and regular speed. Ms. Mazzola, in this particular demonstration, you were asked to only make one swatch of this particular bloodstain, correct?
Correct.
Now, in this case, in some of the bloodstains, you made as many as a half a dozen blood swatches.
I don't remember exactly how many, but on some of them it was more than one.
Right? Would you agree, ma'am, that if you did, for instance, 4 or 5 swatches, there's 4 or 5 times the opportunity to make mistakes as there is in a single swatch?
Sustained.
In this particular demonstration, Ms. Mazzola, you're having some difficulty getting blood to be absorbed onto that swatch?
Yes, this
That
stain was
sometimes happens with
Wait,
pavement?
wait.
Sorry.
to dry the blood. Since it was so cold, they put a heater on the blood spots and it more or less baked it onto the concrete.
And you're putting it in the coin envelope now?
Yes.
The coin envelope is not sealed, is it?
No, not sealed.
Now you're cleaning the tweezers again?
Correct.
And again, Ms. Mazzola, you're holding the tweezers in your right hand now?
Yes.
Same right hand that touched the ground, correct?
My right hand.
Yes. And is that your right hand hitting the ground again?
My hand was on the ground. Yes.
Notice you're stretching.
Yes.
Is it tiring bending down there to do even a single swatch?
No, when it is extremely cold, my left knee tends to tighten up a bit.
And at this instance, you're actually brushing away the swatches that you would drop to the ground?
Yes.
By the way, Mr. Yamauchi and Dennis Fung were also present during this?
Mr. Yamauchi was.
And did Mr. Yamauchi, I thought you said Dennis Fung was there as well. Could you hold a second, please?
I believed he was back and forth between the demonstration area and the lab itself.
One moment. Back up a second, please. Where she is. And when you actually collected the swatch, were your knees on the ground?
I believe so.
Okay. Can you back up? Back up to just where she's about to get up. And are you now putting your left hand on your knee?
Yes.
And that's the knee that was just on the pavement?
I think it was on the pavement.
Okay. And when you're wiping the ground now with your right hand, correct?
Correct.
And you didn't change gloves before you went on to do the next swatching, did you?
No.
Hold on 1 second. You want to hold? What are you doing? And there are more swatches that have dropped to the ground again, haven't there?
Yes.
Again, your right hand with the tweezers is going down to the dirty ground.
It was on the ground.
Would you agree that the pavement outside where you're shooting this has dirt on it, ma'am?
Yes.
By the way, Ms. Mazzola, just stop for 1 second. I noticed in the demonstration board, when they show you either using the control swatch or a swatch on a piece of evidence, you don't see any of the swatches that are lying on the ground. Is that correct?
I I believe so.
That they don't show any swatches lying on the ground?
Yes.
After you finished making this videotape, did the prosecutor ask you to repeat the exercise again?
No.
Continue. Tape. Now, Ms. Mazzola, you now took out a coin envelope, is that right?
That's correct.
And that's because you were asked to demonstrate how it is that you put documentation on the coin envelope that you're going to put these swatches in. Isn't that right?
She can describe what she's doing, counsel, not the
All right.
instructions.
Now, could you just stop a second? Back up a little bit. I want you to do it in slow motion. Okay? Just to go forward now. Now, Ms. Mazzola, when you're going to, can you just stop for 1 second? When you are documenting a coin envelope in the demonstration, do you put down the item number?
Yes.
And when you put down the item number, do you use the number sign before the number?
Sometimes, yes.
Okay. And do you also on the coin envelope write down your initials as the person who is collecting this item?
Overruled.
I don't believe I did in this.
Was that what you were taught to do, Ms. Mazzola?
I can't remember if we were taught that or if it's something we pick up. I'm not sure.
Well, if you pick something up because you learned it from more senior criminalists at the first crime scenes that you attended, that would be one way of learning this information, correct?
Correct.
Another way of learning it would be because somebody at the SID Mini Academy explained to you this is the way to do it. Is that correct?
That could be another way.
Either way, you are learning to do something a particular way. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
So the question, ma'am, is, were you taught one way or the other that when you are collecting an item, as you are in this picture, to write down your initials as well as the item number on the coin envelope?
As I believe I had said earlier, some criminalists put their initials on the envelopes, some don't.
Ms. Mazzola, let's play this tape forward in slow mo.
In other words, asked and answered, asked and answered, asked and answered again and again and again.
Mrs. I want you to look very carefully at the movement of your hand, of your right hand as it writes on the envelope, okay?
Okay.
If you can't see what you're writing, you have to just look at the movement. You're writing something there, correct?
It appears to be yes.
Okay, and you picked up the pen, now you're writing something else.
Correct.
And now you pick up the pen, now you're writing something else.
Correct.
So, Ms. Mazzola, there were 3 different things that you wrote on that envelope, correct?
It appears that I have the coin envelope and the plastic envelope. They're together.
Ms. Mazzola, did you write 3 different things with your hand in that down position?
It appears so.
Okay. And Ms. Mazzola, one of the things that you were taught to write was the number, correct?
Correct.
Second thing you were taught to write is the number sign. Is that correct?
We were not taught that.
So sometimes you do that, sometimes you don't.
I tend to do that.
You tend to do that.
I tend to do that.
Okay, that's the second thing. The third thing, Ms. Mazzola, and that would be the first thing you were doing there, was actually writing your initial. Isn't that correct?
I don't know if that was my initials or not.
Ms. Mazzola, when you write your initial AM, don't you write it in one continuous motion?
Yes.
All right, let's 1 second. Continue. Let's continue regular speed. Now, by the way, Ms. Mazzola, you wrote out the envelope, put documentation on because that's a standard practice of yours, correct?
Correct.
Yet on the demonstration board, there is no photograph of you actually filling out the envelope, is there?
I don't know.
Can you just freeze it 1 second? Would you agree, Ms. Mazzola, that it's an important step for a criminalist to document the item that he or she is collecting?
Yes.
and it's important for purposes of identifying an item. Is that right?
That's right.
And it's also important for maintaining or beginning the chain of custody. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Now take a look at the demonstration board, Ms. Mazzola.
Right.
Would you agree that even though you say that this is an important step in the process, that there was no photograph showing you documenting the coin envelope on this demonstration board?
There doesn't appear to be.
Did you have any input at all into the creation of this demonstration board without a photograph of you doing the necessary documentation?
I had no input on the construction of the board.
And for the record, what was exhibited to the witness was People's 162.
When you saw the board, you said the board had been shown to you prior to your testifying in this case, hadn't it?
I had a quick look at it, yes.
When you had a quick look at it, Ms. Mazzola, did you say to the prosecutor, wait a second, you're missing one important aspect of the bloodstain evidence collection process, namely the documentation of the coin envelope? Did you say that to them?
Sustained.
Can you go forward, please? See the moisture moving out from the control swatch, Ms. Mazzola?
Yes.
You see it, hold it. You see it coming into contact with a portion of the blood stain that moves out in an arm to the right?
It appears that it is.
1 second. Back it up a little bit, please. Stop. Ms. Mazzola, see the dirt on the fingertips of the third and fourth fingers of your glove?
Yes.
Okay, continue. Oh, stop. Now, Ms. Mazzola, do you see that you've now turned the tweezers around? So the tips are right in the middle of that palm of the glove with the dirty fingers?
I can't see which way the
All right, could you back
tips
it up
are
again for just a few,
facing.
could you back it up for a few seconds, please? Okay, now stop. Do you see that the tip of the tweezers is going into that envelope, into the plastic bag?
Correct.
Now go forward in slow motion, please. And now do you agree it is, stop. It is now the tip of the tweezers which has gone back into your hand.
The tips would not be in my palm area because they're extremely sharp.
Well, Ms. Mazzola, I'm not suggesting that you were cutting yourself or sticking yourself with the tweezers, but wouldn't you agree that it's possible to simply take the tweezers and hold them like this in your palm without cutting yourself?
Oh.
Isn't it possible you can do that, Ms. Mazzola?
Not those type of tweezers.
You're saying that those type of tweezers are such that you cannot hold them like this without cutting yourself? Is that your testimony?
Unless the tips were around the bottom of your hand, I can't see how you could hold the entire tweezers in your hand without getting poked.
Well, Ms. Mazzola, if you have it simply resting in your hand like this, and the point is down here, near the bottom of your palm like this, you wouldn't necessarily poke yourself, would you?
If the tips were below your hand, yes.
If the tip is actually resting on your hand, such as I'm doing with my pointed pen, I'm not poking myself, am I?
It's not the same, counsel.
I understand that, Your Honor. But am I poking myself with this?
The tips of the
Sustained.
Let's continue the tape. Now, Ms. Mazzola, the tip of the tweezers is very close to your fingers at this point, isn't it, on your right hand? Even if the actual tip itself isn't touching, you were pretty close to the edge on that, weren't you? You were within a half inch or quarter of an inch of the tip, weren't you, Ms. Mazzola?
I couldn't tell how close I was.
drop of the swatches there, Ms. Mazzola, is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, you're having some difficulty getting the swatch to get onto the stain there, right?
Right.
Slow down, stop. And so now you've moved your fingers on the dirty glove that had been in contact with the pavement down toward the tip of those tweezers, haven't you?
They are still a ways away from the tip.
I understand that. But you've moved them down away from the position they were normally in to try and get that swatch to come off the tip, haven't you?
Yes,
And that's the same hand that had the dirt on the fingers, correct?
I believe so.
Continue. Now, Ms. Mazzola, between the collection, now you're collecting item number 6, is that right?
That's correct.
And between the collection of items 5 and item 6, you never changed your gloves, did you?
That's correct.
And is the reason you never changed your gloves because no one at SID ever taught you to change your gloves?
They don't need to teach you when to change your gloves. You change your gloves periodically.
Well, did anyone at LAPD, SID ever teach you to change your gloves between the handling of different bloodstains?
No.
Now, you said that one of the procedures that you've been taught, thank you, but one of the procedures that you've been taught at LAPD was to put some scale in the photograph, such as a tape, such as a ruler, to indicate the size of the actual bloodstain, correct?
Sustain.
Or were you taught, as part of your instruction on forensic photography, to have a ruler placed in the scene?
Sustain.
Ms. Mazzola, did you use a ruler when doing this demonstration to indicate, for purposes of documenting the stain, the size of the stain?
Oh,
No.
And did you not do that because the prosecutors didn't tell you to do that?
I didn't do that. No one told me not to.
All right. One moment, Your Honor.
certainly.
Ms. Mazzola, how many crime scenes have you collected bloodstains at since June 13th, 1994?
2, I believe.
And would you agree that additional training and more experience makes you more proficient today than you were 10 months ago?
Experience helps.
And would you agree that when collecting blood or blood stains, mistakes can occur?
Mistakes can happen, yes.
And would you agree that when collecting bloodstains, especially in evidence that's going to go out for DNA analysis, that the criminalist must understand how, in the course of making different mistakes, DNA could become degraded?
I don't think we bear in mind just DNA specifically. We look at any serological testing.
Were you ever taught at the SID Mini Academy any connection at all between the mistakes that can happen at a crime scene and the effects it will have on DNA or other serological testing?
Sustain. Rephrase the question.
Now, the wet swatches, Ms. Mazzola, were placed in the truck in brown paper bags. Is that right?
That's correct.
Does the LAPD SID unit have a written procedure for storing biological evidence in the van?
I do not know.
Well, there's a refrigerator in the van, isn't there?
Yes.
Did Fung instruct you to put the bloodstained swatches in the refrigerator?
Oh,
No, he did not.
And you didn't see Fung put them in the refrigerator, did you?
No.
Would you agree, Ms. Mazzola, that, or were you aware of the fact that the refrigerator worked at least some of the time?
I was aware that it worked some of the time, yes.
And that it would work for several hours before eventually the battery going dead?
I wasn't sure how long it would work.
Well, had you ever been aware of the fact that it did work for more than 1 or 2 hours?
Mm, I don't remember if I ever found that out.
You didn't find out how long it did work for?
No.
Well, would you agree, Ms. Mazzola, that even a few hours of keeping wet blood swatches in a refrigerator is better than not keeping them there at all?
Sustain.
Well, Ms. Mazzola, you said that you had been told by people at LAPSID that heat can have some effect on bacteria growing on the blood swatches. Isn't that correct?
Sustain. Counsel, I assume there's some other witness who's going to testify to these effects.
One moment, Your Honor. Ms. Mazzola, when you came back to Rockingham later in the afternoon on the 13th, the first item of evidence that you collected inside the house was item number 12. Is that right?
I believe so, yes.
And item number 12 is more than a single drop of blood, isn't it?
If I remember correctly, it is.
In fact, it is 3 drops of blood, isn't it?
I'm not exactly sure how many.
Well, the other drops of blood or blood stains that you collected from the driveway that day, they were all individual drops, were they not?
Yes.
And weren't you taught, Ms. Mazzola, that whenever you have distinct drops, even if they're close together, that they should be collected in separate packages?
That was up to the discretion of the supervisor.
Let me show you 14. Ms. Mazzola, did you receive a handout from the SID unit entitled Collection and Preservation of Body Fluids? You have it?
I might have. I don't remember.
Next in order would be
1118, 1118.
show you this. Let me ask you to take a look at item number 13.
I'm sure this lawyer was taught in law school not to ask the same question over and over again to the wrong freaking witness.
By the way, Ms. Mazzola, also look at this. These 2 pages represent a handout that you received at the SID Mini Academy.
Yes, they look familiar.
Okay. And in the handout that you received from the SID Mini Academy, weren't you told specifically, quote, if there is more than one distinct stain, these should be treated as different stains and collected separately?
That's what the handout says.
All right. And Ms. Mazzola, does it anywhere in that handout say, oh, but wait a second, you can make an exception if the senior criminalist says to?
Sustain.
Did you ever receive any written instructions at all from LAPD SID suggesting that you could make an exception from that rule when the senior criminalist so chose?
There was nothing written down.
In fact, even on the demo board that we just looked at, Ms. Mazzola, items 5 and 6 are only several inches apart, aren't they?
I believe, well, what do you qualify as several?
Would you agree, Ms. Mazzola, that items 5 and 6 are within a foot of one another?
They could be within a foot, yes.
And Ms. Mazzola, I believe you said that you had also been taught that it wasn't necessary to pick up every single drop in an area, but only to pick up representative drops. Is that correct?
That's correct.
In fact, other than the 3 drops that you saw in the foyer, where you picked up item number 12, weren't there some other small drops in the vicinity that you didn't bother to collect?
I don't remember if I saw any other little drops around that area or not.
agree, ma'am, that there were at least a few drops in that foyer area where you collected number 12?
Yes.
And Ms. Mazzola, I believe you said that from looking at the drops outside, one could not tell which direction they were going in. Isn't that correct?
I did not look at them as to try to determine directionality. I don't have any experience in that field.
Well, did Mr. Fung in your presence say that they had any particular direction?
Sustain.
And I believe you said, Ms. Mazzola, before that you can't tell whether or not this trail of blood drops at Rockingham is leading from the house to the Bronco or from the Bronco to the house. Isn't that correct?
I don't understand. I mean, I do not understand how they came to their verdict. Now, we haven't seen the defense yet. We haven't. But these questions are so stupid. They it's not even borderline. It's not like, oh, I can see how they might think. No, these questions are so stupid and they prove absolutely nothing about nothing so far. Because DNA is DNA. I mean, it's not like she's baking a souffle and it'll fall. You know, if she's
Just for the foundation for the next question.
It's what you said.
In fact, Ms. Mazzola, from what you just said, the greatest number of drops that you saw in a particular area was that concentration of drops in the foyer, inside the front door. Isn't that correct?
That is correct.
Let me ask you a hypothetical, Ms. Mazzola. Ms. Mazzola, as a criminalist, have you learned that when a person initially cuts himself or herself, you bleed more profusely, and then as clotting occurs, the bleeding dies down? Did you learn that?
Sustain.
Well, Ms. Mazzola, just from your common everyday experience, have you ever had a cut?
Yes.
Sustain.
Ms. Mazzola, what do you know, both professionally and from your own experiences, as to how frequently blood drops are made when you first get cut and how they dissipate as time passes?
Same objections.
Oh, do you know anything about those topics?
I don't know how fast the blood drops form or drop.
Well, let me ask you this hypothetical, Ms. Mazzola. If someone cut himself in the foyer of his house, might he bleed more profusely inside before going outside? It's a hypothetical.
Sustain. No, it has to be within the expert's expertise. It's not your.
As a criminalist, Ms. Mazzola, have you been trained, have you received any training at all in looking at blood pattern? Any?
A very little bit, not much at all.
Well, Ms. Mazzola, would you agree that
Judge Ito,
the pattern of
please.
drops that you observed, on June 13th at Bundy are consistent,
Your Honor,
What-
I object to anything further on this.
Oh, let me hear the question.
Ms. Mazzola, with an individual cutting himself inside the house where you observed those 3 drops?
Sustained. Counsel, this is beyond her expertise.
Next in order there. Let's look this up.
1119. Yeah, thank you. wind it up.
All right, one moment, Your Honor.
Oh, go ahead and finish your thought.
Ms. Mazzola, do you recognize that photograph?
Yes,
And is that photograph showing at least 3 different blood drops on the
yes,
foyer near the card number 12?
yes,
And isn't it true, Ms. Mazzola, that that was the only blood drops or blood stains that you observed on the first floor of the house?
that's correct.
And isn't it true, Ms. Mazzola, that after you collected those blood drops in item number 12 in the foyer near the front door, that you then walked up the stairway?
I believe we started going up the stairs. Yes,
And you examined the light carpet on the stairs?
yes.
And as you examined that light carpet on the stairs, there was absolutely no blood stains seen there at all, right?
I did not observe any.
Well, you were looking, weren't you?
Right.
And wasn't Dennis Fung looking?
Yes,
And he didn't say he observed any either, did he?
that's correct.
And you were not only looking for blood drops at that point, you were also looking for dried flecks of blood as well, weren't you?
Anything that was red.
And you didn't see anything that was red on this white carpet ascending all the way up the stairs.
I don't remember what color the carpet was.
Well, was it light colored, ma'am?
It was light. Yes,
It was the kind of color that if there was a red drop, it would stand out, wouldn't it?
yes,
And then as you walk down the hallway on that second floor toward Mr. Simpson's bedroom, there was also that same light colored carpeting, correct?
I don't recall. Could be. I don't remember.
Well, when you were examining the floor, weren't you at that point?
Yes,
And you didn't see any blood drops there either, did you?
that's correct.
And you didn't see any flecks of blood, did you?
No.
And when you examined that stairway going up the stairs, ma'am, did you examine the banister also?
Yes,
And on the banister, ma'am, there were no flecks of blood, were there?
I personally did not observe any.
Well, did Mr. Fung personally observe them in your presence?
Not in my presence. No,
And on that banister, there were no flecks of blood either, were there?
I did not see any.
And Mr. Fung didn't mention any to you, did he?
No.
And if you had seen them, you would have collected them, wouldn't you?
Yes,
And you would have photographed them.
yes,
And also on that banister, ma'am, there were no smears of blood, were there? Indicating that somebody had blood on their hands. Isn't that correct?
I did not recall seeing anything like that.
And Mr. Fung didn't observe any either that he mentioned to you, did he?
Sustained.
Did Mr. Fung, in your presence, say to you that he had observed any smears of blood on the banister?
Sustained. Counsel, I want to rephrase that question. Did Mr. Fung point out to you any blood smears, et cetera?
Thank you, Your Honor. You can answer
No, he
Judge
did
Smith.
not.
Okay. Why don't we stop this one, Your Honor?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our recess for the afternoon. Please remember all of my admonitions to you. Don't discuss the case amongst yourselves. Don't form any opinions about the case. Don't allow anybody to communicate with you. And do not conduct any deliberations until the matter has been submitted to you. As far as the jury is concerned, we will stand in recess until 9 o'clock. I'll see counsel as soon as the jury has departed. June the 14th, and you wanted the reports of her activities for some particular reason.
Yes, Your Honor. At the hearing on August 23rd, Ms. Mazzola testified that she had personally participated in the processing of the now dried swatches on the morning of June 14th with Mr. Fung at the laboratory. This morning, she suggested for the first time, Your Honor, that on the morning of June 14th, she did not participate in the processing of evidence in this case with Mr. Fung,
Immediately.
but instead spent the morning before she went to the print shed doing paperwork on another case.
Mhm.
That was her testimony. I'd like to see this paperwork that she claims that she was doing in the evidence processing unit during the 2 or 3 hours that morning before she went to the print shed. I mean, I frankly don't believe her. And I think that I'm allowed to challenge her credibility with regard to that representation because it contradicts her testimony at the August 23rd hearing. And I want to see if there's paperwork which supports her claim.
All right, what
Oh, I almost said something that would get me immediately canceled. What? I'm gonna just rechange what I was saying in my head so that it's nice. What if she said she was eating a McDonald's McMuffin, an egg McMuffin? Would you need to see the wrapper? What?
falls, what
I'm going to redact it, by the way. I don't.
under 1054.1, what part of that statute applies to this particular report?
One moment.
Let me cut to the chase. I mean, is there some reason that the prosecution doesn't want to provide the court with a copy of any report?
Your Honor, I don't have a copy in my possession at any rate, but the only reason that we're objecting to is because I just don't believe it falls within any of the discovery provisions. And I think that the prosecution's interests have been hurt by over
How the F is he supposed to have a copy? How? So,
compliance with discovery. It has not worked. It has not served our interests. It has not sped the case along. And I think that it's in our interest at this time on every discovery issue to try to see that we are not required to do anything more than what is mandated under discovery law. And that is my position. So it has nothing to do with this particular report. I haven't seen the report. I don't know how it could be located. It simply has to do with not wanting to provide discovery beyond our discovery obligations.
Well, it's not discovery, I'm trying to find out the actual information about some other case. I don't care about the other case. It could all be redacted. But what she said on August 23rd under oath in this courtroom is that she spent the morning of June 14th, before going to the print shed with Dennis Fung, processing the swatches in this case. Today, for the very first time, she contradicted herself on that point, and she said that she wasn't processing specimens with Dennis Fung the morning of June 14th before going to the print shed, because instead she was doing the paperwork on another case. I believe, Your Honor, that I'm allowed to.
you know what a lawyer could do with this situation, sir? You know what a lawyer could do? He could ask her what she said and then move the heck on. He could ask her why it's discrepancy and then move on.
Impeach her with that paperwork to the extent that it does not corroborate her sworn testimony here. And it would be a relevant written statement used to impeach this witness. That's what it's for.
Well, counsel, isn't this real collateral? And haven't you already gotten the benefit that you've got one statement here and another statement today that contradicts that statement? I mean, haven't you got the impeachment value out of that?
1 second, Your Honor. Your Honor, this witness has been suggesting on many different areas in this case that her testimony on August 23rd was inaccurate because she hadn't had time to really think about it. Whereas now that she's had more time to think about it, her testimony at this trial should be given greater weight. And what she's saying on this particular point is it should be given greater weight because she now remembers that morning, for the 2 or 3 hours that she was there, that she was preoccupied doing paperwork in another case. All I want to do is see that paperwork to see whether or not it corroborates her bold-faced claim that she made before Your Honor this morning, that that's what she was doing. I think in light of the fact that there's a flat-out contradiction from her testimony on August 23rd, bearing in mind that she's going to say that what she said on August 23rd should not be given any serious consideration by the jury because she didn't know what she was saying, that I should be entitled now to impeach the claim that she made this morning by showing her that there isn't this paperwork to support her claim that that's what she was doing during the morning.
All right. How do we get around 1054.1? Under what category does that fall?
Your Honor, number one,
You know, Judge,
I believe
instead of asking him another stupid question in return, you could just say no. You can just say no, move on.
that her testimony on August 23rd was in fact the correct testimony, the truthful testimony. And to the extent that it is truthful, it is exculpatory evidence. And to the extent, Your Honor, that this written report undermines her claim today that she spent the time doing this.
Do you have any case that describes something like this as exculpatory evidence under California case law?
Well, Your Honor, not just as exculpatory evidence, Your Honor, but I would submit, I don't have a case before me. Your Honor, even if you thought about it in terms of 352, what are we talking about here? We're talking about the people producing a single report, which can be redacted, so as no information about another case is disclosed, simply to show how long it is and how much time was expended on it.
Now, just because you want this magic piece of paper doesn't mean that you're entitled to it. You are the lawyer. You have a team of your own investigators. You could have tried to get this whatever earlier, even though she just said it on the stand, so you wouldn't have known to do that. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
To undermine her claim that she's made under oath in this courtroom, that she spent the entire morning when she arrived before going to the print shed involved in, in processing papers in another case. It just doesn't make sense. And I should be entitled.
And I loved Goldberg. Now you ain't getting shit. Legally make me, sir. Make me. Legally make me. 1v1 me right now. I ain't giving you nothing.
entitled that much leeway. That is not a collateral matter, Your Honor. I'm not going to prove any other case. I'm simply going to prove, Your Honor, that her testimony at August 23rd was the truthful and correct testimony, and her testimony today just wasn't credible. That's the purpose of it. And I also think under the same section, Your Honor, it comes in under subsection F. It's a relevant written or recorded statement of this witness. She is the one who made the recorded statement.
Keep reading. It's about something the prosecution intends on producing. That's the modifier. All right, I'll take your request under submission. My tentative ruling is to deny your request. Bring me something that says that you're entitled to it. All right?
Well, yes, that's the second matter, Your Honor.
And, yes.
I asked on Thursday, I asked the prosecutor to simply produce in court for my cross-examination of Ms. Mazzola the actual evidence that she collected on the 13th and the 14th. Her evidence, okay, which means the coin envelopes and the bindles. And the people last week said they would think about it, and they told me this morning they've decided that they're not going to bring it in here. And I believe that I'm entitled to confront this witness with the actual evidence that she collected in this case. And that's what I would like to do tomorrow morning. So I would ask the court to instruct the people to produce in court tomorrow morning the actual items, which would be the original coin envelopes and the original bindles.
Okay. Mr. Goldberg?
Well, Your Honor, the problem is that, of course, there's several problems. One of them is that we are talking about biological evidence, a lot of which has not been tested. For example, on our chain of custody boards, we only have the items that were tested. We tested item number 6 and item number 7, but the prosecution did not test 3 and 4 at this time because obviously we've had to prioritize and the laboratories are inundated with the amount of material that we've given them. So they're talking about bringing in evidence that still contains biological evidence that can be tested, defrosting it, destroying its utility for any future testing, evidence that constitutes a biohazard and should not be in court at any rate, and has made absolutely no showing as to why we are going to destroy the evidence in this case. I mean, obviously the defendant doesn't care about destroying the evidence in this case because it's not going to exonerate him, but we still have an interest in trying to preserve the evidence to the extent that it exists. They have been provided with an opportunity to inspect all of this evidence in Albany at a tremendous expense to the people. It has been photographed by the prosecution. We have provided them with photographs of it. They have had the opportunity to inspect it on a variety of other occasions at an enormous expense and burden to the people.
Well, rather than saying all evidence that this witness collected, is there anything in particular that you need, Mr. Neufeld?
Well, yes, Your Honor, but let me just, well, it's the items of the bloodstains that were actually collected by Ms. Mazzola and at Bundy and at Rockingham. That's what we're talking about here. Those are the items. Let me just say two things.
How many items? Which specific items from the property report? I take it you haven't even reduced this to a written request to the prosecution.
Well, Your Honor, that's true, but let the prosecutor submit to you a single authority to support his point that's going to be destroyed. It's not going to be destroyed.
Wait, Mr. Neufeld, I'm just interested in what efforts have you made to try to get them to bring us over? First effort is to identify specifically what it is you want. I'm asking you now, tell me what you want. I'm just curious if you even have a written list of these items, which would help me immensely to get started here.
The items of the bloodstains collected at Bundy, which would be items 41 through 52. That's I'm not talking about a huge amount of evidence. These are coin envelopes that are this large, Your Honor. 41 through 52. At Rockingham, we're talking about items 3, 4, 5. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Your Honor. Item 1, item 4, 5, 6.
All right, counsel, what we're going to do is I'm going to stand in recess until tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. I want you to prepare a list of what it is you want from the prosecution. Give it to the prosecution. I want from the prosecution by 8:30 tomorrow morning a list of any specific objections as to why those items cannot be produced in court.
Your Honor, there's
Yes, to the specifics requested by the defense. I assume that if there is any refrigeration problem, they can be packed, brought over, exhibited briefly. I assume that this is not a tremendous logistical problem since we're talking about a lab that's less than a mile away from here.
Your Honor, just so the record's clear on this, these items were sent to Albany. They were taken out of the freezer for extended periods of time.
Mr. Neufeld, stop while you're ahead. All right, tomorrow morning.
If they have their list by 8:30,
I'm ordering you to confer, provide the prosecution with a list. I'm giving the prosecution until tomorrow morning at 8:30 to lodge any written objections that they have to those items, and I'll make an order, if it's appropriate, tomorrow morning, directing LAPD, SID to bring those things over, packed in dry ice if necessary.
Okay, so they're going to give their list test tonight.
Right now.
I'm going to give them a list in 5 minutes.
Right now.
Right.
All right. Do we understand each other? Great. Mr. Cochran. Good afternoon, sir.
We start off the morning. I'd like to finish off the day, Your Honor. Your Honor, we had made an informal request, I believe, for the so-called Cato-Kalin tapes. But they've not been made available to us.
No, if you recall, the prosecution said that they had turned over a set to the court and that they were available to you from the court anytime you wanted to take them and copy them.
Can we do that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
I've had them sitting in my chambers for the last 2 weeks now.
Well,
3 weeks.
Can we get those? We'll work that for
Absolutely.
Your Honor, clerk. And the other thing is, could the court set aside some time this week? We probably need one of your famous graphs, because we need to re-calendar certain of our motions that are kind of fallen by the wayside. But, at your convenience, we need to probably get that back.
Actually, we probably ought to have a brief morning's chambers conference, perhaps Thursday morning,
Okay.
just to get a list of all the matters that we have not considered. I'll have Mrs. Robertson put together a list of the motions that we have not addressed yet or have taken off calendar.
That'll be fine. And there's one other witness we're going to, I think, interview at some point when the court decides it's
That is
appropriate.
correct.
So that's fine. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, counsel. All right, counsel, we had 2 matters to take up before the jury joins us. Mr. Neufeld, was there any additional authority you wanted to bring to the court's attention regarding discovery of reports on other cases alleged to have been created on June 14 by Ms. Mazzola?
Right, I don't have authority in other cases with that particular fact pattern. I would simply, remind the court that there are other United States Supreme Court cases such as NAPU versus Illinois, Giglio, cases like that, which talk about if there is some piece of data which would directly contradict the testimony being proffered by the prosecution witness, then the prosecutor has a duty to turn that over. In this case, it is just our position that they could not produce a contemporaneous document that would support Ms. Mazzola's position that she was filling out, property reports on the morning of June 14th.
All right, Mr. Goldberg, any final comment on that matter?
No.
All right, court's ruling will stand. All right, as to the production of the various pieces of evidence, I've received the people's written objections. Mr. Neufeld, do you have any comment?
In other words, sit down and shut up, sir. Sir.
Your Honor, the one point I would make is that, I don't think there's any question as a matter of relevance that I'm entitled to confront this witness with the actual items that she collected and ask her whether or not those are in fact the items that she collected and the envelopes that she put the evidence in that day and the bindles that she used the very next day. I'm entitled to ask her those questions because that is the beginning of the chain of custody in this case. And as the court knows, the defense has been attacking the chain of custody in its opening statement and throughout this case and intends to continue to do so. So I don't think there's any question about relevancy. Their only issue might be that some of the things we asked for may be too difficult or burdensome. I'd be willing to compromise, Your Honor, and not have them produce the newer bindles that were created when portions of samples went out to the laboratories. I just want them to produce the original coin envelopes and the original bindles that were produced by Fung and Mazzola on the 13th and 14th. So I'm willing to give up the second portion of the request.
All right, and which items are those?
Oh.
That you're requesting.
Sorry, I did provide a written list to the people, and the items are item 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, 14, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52. So we're just talking about the coin envelopes and the bindles, the originals, not any of the new ones for those items.
All right, Mr. Goldberg.
Counsel still has not shown any plausible justification as to why he needs the actual envelopes as opposed to photographs. And I believe that we have photographs of all of these items. And more importantly, Your Honor, what counsel is asking is not nearly as simple as it sounds on its face. He has not really come up with a list of the items that he wants because many of these items were rebooked as new item numbers when we're talking about the bindles that were originally used for the purpose of obtaining the items. By the way, it seems to me that the bindles themselves have no relevance in terms of the chain of custody. The chain of custody would be based on what was on the coin envelope itself, the number corresponding to a number of an item that was collected at the crime scene. In order to trace the bindles, what we'd have to do is we'd have to look first in the original coin envelope to determine whether they were there. In some instances, the original bindles were mailed out to an outside lab and then in a new transmittal coin envelope. And then when they came back, they would have been rebooked as a new number. We gave one example in our letter just to try to illustrate the problems of a particular item that has been sent out in a number of different transmittal envelopes where portions of the swatches are being used. Those items may have been sent out not only in new coin envelopes, but in new transmittal bindles. But if the entire sample was sent out, then it is possible that the original bindle was then sent out to an outside laboratory. And the administrative burden of tracking this down, which can be done through the records, should not fall on the prosecution. So the defense should say which items they want, not just by saying I want item number 1 in the original bindle, but saying I want item number 1 and item number 385 or whatever perhaps that original bindle ended up as after it came back from the laboratory. They can do that just as easily as we can. They have all the records. In fact, they can do it more easily because not only do they have our records, but they have their own records because they've seen these materials in the original bindles and presumably created their own documentation of that, which they have not provided to us. So
Nan didn't even change her gloves in between patients, and she was a nurse.
they are in just as good a position, if not better, than the prosecution to do this. They've also tested.
I'm
So your
joking.
objection is just the correlation of the items, the item numbers?
Well, my objection is threefold. Number one, that there's no justification for this. I mean, normally for discovery, if you're going to analogize this to discovery, either it comes under a pre-proposition 115 law, you have to show a plausible justification, which was some
Well, then how
threshold
about if you don't want to
standard.
produce it, I'll suppress it.
Suppress each and every one of these items.
Correct. How about that? If you don't want to produce it, we'll suppress it.
But, well, Your Honor,
Okay,
I don't
let's
see
keep
how
it
the two of them
moving.
are connected. What I'm just saying is that,
So if you don't want to let them use it, then you can't use it. How's that?
but we're not using the originals. We've used photographs. We've used other means of accomplishing the same ends. And it also does not address the issue as to what are we going to do with the blood swatches that are still in some of these items that can still be tested.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say all of them, every single procedure ever made was changed because of this case.
And so there are a number of concerns from this perspective, and not the least of which is why don't they identify? They can go through the records and do the tracking and provide us with more specific requests as to exactly what they want. I don't see why the burden necessarily falls on the prosecution's shoulder to do that tracking. For them just to say, I want item number 6.
All right,
and for us to
you've
track it
made
all
the
way
point
through.
about the correlation of numbers. What other point do you have to make?
Well, there were 3 points. Plausible justification, no showing as to why he needs these items. Number 2, overly broad and unduly burdensome for the reasons that I suggested with the tracking and not identifying what he wants. And number 3, that these are biological samples that can still be tested. And what are we supposed to do with the actual swatches? Because he's saying he wants those too.
All right, Mr. Neufeld.
I'm not going to ask the witness to open up the bindle anyway to take swatches out of it. I don't care about that. Certainly with respect to them being biological specimens, they've been thought out several times before, sometimes for many, many hours. What we're talking about here is just bringing them over from Piper Tech, which is not that far away, for a couple of hours so they can be produced here in court.
All right, would you address the issue about correlation of the
Oh,
numbers?
sure. If you look at the letter, Your Honor, the letter says that when, in the main paragraph, it says that when laboratories were not sent out the entire sample, that they were sent out in new transmittal bundles, okay, in new transmittal coin envelopes. I'm not interested in the new transmittal envelopes, which got new numbers, nor the new transmittal bindles, which got new numbers. I'm only interested in the original coin envelopes and the original bindles. And by the way, every one of those coin envelopes and every one of those bindles has a number on it, the original number. If subsequently, even though it's not explained in this letter, an original bindle was also given a separate number, you will still have the original number on the original bindle. It's there. This is not difficult for them to produce. That's why I'm saying to the court that I'm willing to give up all those new transmittal bindles, all those new transmittal envelopes with the new numbers. I just want.
Okay, I get it's not hard for them. It's an hour away. They could bring him over. He's gonna hand her an envelope. He's gonna say, "Is this the envelope you actually used to collect this?" And she's gonna say yes or no. What I don't understand. Like what? I don't understand what the. I don't understand what. Why can't he get a picture and say, "Is that a picture of the envelope that you used?" Like, what is he trying to get from it?
The original ones. And that's something they can get in 15 minutes.
But their argument is that it's been rebooked and now they have new numbers.
I don't, Your Honor, we asked to inspect these items on different occasions for the scientists to look inside them, and they had no problem producing them for the scientists. They did it every single time. I originally asked for this on Friday. They can do this within a half hour, simply produce the original coin envelopes and the original bindles. They have a computer tracking system which shows where these items went. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for any of the new ones, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, counsel. All right, the Los Angeles Police Department is ordered to produce items 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, 14, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, and 52 forthwith. All right, counsel, before we start with the jury.
Judge Ito, do you know what that means? That means he's going to question her on every single one of those separately, repeatedly.
Let me just give you a couple of admonitions. One, we're getting sloppy about the speaking objections. I have reissued a revised direction to counsel regarding attorney conduct. You were to read that and abide by it. I have probably sustained 1,000 objections so far in this trial regarding argumentative questions. For counsel's edification, if the question is a statement rather than a question to the witness, I'm going to sustain the objection. If I have to do that too many more times, I'm going to admonish counsel in front of the jury that that manner of questioning is improper. Mr. Neufeld, I don't mean to single you out, but would you just try to slow down a little with your pace for the court reporters, because it's both your pace and the Brooklyn accent that they are having difficulty with. All right. Also at noon, I want to meet with the co-lead counsel in chambers for about 15 minutes.
Your Honor, just so there's understanding of their compliance with what you just ordered, and it specified that that for those items they had to produce the original coin envelopes and the original bindles.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's not necessary. Is it necessary for this witness?
You shut up.
Let's have the jury.
Your Honor, I need to have someone call LAPD at 2:30 so that they can start on this.
We're going to get Cochran back up again eventually.
Depends on how much we get done today.
And we're going to be like, oh no, he's the biggest jerk. It doesn't matter. Whoever's up is the
actually- it goes
biggest
back to
jerk.
1 o'clock on that new order.
Oops, wrong. That's not mute. That's pause. I don't want to pause it.
Ms. Andrea Mazzola is again on the witness stand, undergoing cross-examination by Mr. Neufeld. Good morning, Ms. Mazzola. You're reminded you are still under oath, ma'am. Mr. Neufeld, you may resume.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Morning, Ms. Mazzola.
Good morning.
Now, Ms. Mazzola, after you left Rockingham the first time on the morning of June 13th, you and Dennis Fung went to the Bundy location. Is that right?
That's correct.
And I think you testified on direct examination that when you got there, you and Dennis Fung first talked to the detectives and waited until the coroners had finished moving the bodies before you entered the scene. Is that correct?
Sustain, rephrase the question.
Okay. Well, Ms. Mazzola, when you first arrived, the coroners were moving the bodies, were they not?
That's correct.
And were you present for a discussion with the detectives about the scene before you personally entered the crime scene?
I don't remember if I was or not.
When you stood outside the tape, were there any of the detectives with you?
I couldn't tell who were detectives or not.
Have you ever met Detectives Van Adder or Detective Lang?
I was not introduced to them.
Have you ever seen them on television?
Well, I know them now, yes.
And you recognize them?
Yes.
Okay. Well, were either of those detectives with you when you first arrived at Bundy that morning?
My question's vague. With you when you arrived?
Sorry. When you first arrived at Bundy that morning, before you actually went into the crime scene, while the coroners were still moving the bodies, was Detective Van Adder standing or Detective Lang standing nearby you?
I don't remember.
Now, you said on direct examination that if the glove and the hat at Bundy were in contact with one
John, you missed it. Judge Ito just admonished all the lawyers.
another, trace evidence could or would be transferred. Is that an accurate statement of what you testified to?
Overruled.
It's possible that they could transfer trace, yes.
Now, you said also that when you arrived, you saw Mr. Goldman's body covered with a white blanket. Is that correct?
Sustained.
Did you see Mr. Goldman's body covered with a white object when you arrived at Bundy?
When I arrived, no.
At some point that morning, did you see Mr. Goldman's body covered with a white object at Bundy?
Overruled.
Yes.
And you had been taught that trace evidence can move when bodies are manipulated at a murder scene. Haven't you been taught that?
Yes.
Now, let me just ask you one hypothetical, ma'am. If this white object that was on Mr. Goldman's body had been used to also cover Ms. Nicole Brown Simpson, then is it possible that trace evidence could move from the blanket to both victims?
Sustained.
Didn't you say a moment ago, ma'am, that you had been trained and taught at the LAPD that trace evidence can move when bodies are manipulated?
Overruled.
Yes.
And didn't you receive some training at the Sid Mini Academy on the dangers of trace evidence contaminating or cross-contaminating different evidence at a crime scene?
The transfer of trace
Right.
evidence was brought up.
again and again and again and again and again and again. All right, I'm going to take my daughter to work, and you guys better get him through some more questions. I need you guys to get him over this BS so that we can get to the murders. Some, two people were murdered here. Could we get to that? Good luck.
Let me just ask you this hypothetical again. If the same white object that you saw on Mr. Goldman's body had been previously lying on top of Miss Nicole Brown Simpson,
Sustain. It's an improper hypothetical.
well, would you agree, ma'am, that trace evidence can move from the white object you saw on top of the body to the clothing being worn by that person?
Is possible.
And the white object that you saw on top of Mr. Goldman, was that a white blanket?
I didn't get a very good look at it.
Well, but you did see that there was some white object that had been on top of Mr. Goldman's body, correct?
Overruled.
Yes.
Did Dennis Fung instruct you to collect and to preserve that white object for analysis?
Overruled. I
No.
assume somebody from the coroner's office is going to tell us what that is. Overruled.
He did not.
And to your knowledge, was that white object ever preserved for trace evidence analysis?
To my knowledge, no.
Did Dennis Fung even instruct you to examine that white object while you were at Bundy that day?
No.
As you sit here today, has anyone told you that at some point during that morning, an envelope and a glove had been moved at the Bundy location?
Overruled.
Would you please repeat the question again?
As you sit here today, has anyone ever told you that the envelope and the glove recovered at Bundy had been moved prior to your collection of it?
I'm not positive. They may have, but I'm not positive.
Well, I'm not asking you, and I apologize if the question was somewhat inartful. I'm not asking you whether you were told about the movement prior to your collecting it. I'm just asking you whether or not, at any time up until this morning, anyone had told you that both the envelope and the glove had been moved prior to the collection of those items.
Overruled.
I don't know about the envelope. The glove might have been turned over. I'm not positive.
Overruled.
One second. What? And Ms. Mazzola, who was the person who told you that the glove was turned over?
Overruled.
I can't remember who it was.
Was you speak to Dennis Fung about it?
I don't think so. I'm not
Did you
sure.
speak to other supervisors at SID?
I'm not sure who it was.
You said also that at Bundy and Rockingham, you wore a pair of rubber gloves to protect you from any kind of biohazards. Is that correct?
Overruled. But we've already covered this.
Well, as you sit here today, ma'am, do you have any independent recollection as to whether or not you changed your gloves at any point while you were at Bundy?
I changed my gloves several times.
You have an independent recollection of that?
Yes.
Did you testify in direct examination, ma'am, that it was your practice to simply change your gloves when they became uncomfortable? Remember testifying to that?
Sustain.
Did you testify in direct examination that it was your practice to change your gloves either when it became uncomfortable or when you went into a new area? Is that your testimony?
Overruled.
Is that your testimony, ma'am?
I don't remember if it's my exact words.
Well, fine. In some substance, is that what you testified to?
Overruled. You can answer the question.
I assume so.
And as you sit here today, do you have an independent recollection of finding the gloves uncomfortable at one point or another?
They became uncomfortable. We moved around. We changed gloves. You don't really need a reason to do it.
Well, no, ma'am, I'm just asking you based on what you testified were your reasons for changing gloves. Do you have an independent recollection as you sit here today of experiencing discomfort with the gloves and changing them as a result of that while you were at Bundy?
Yes.
You do have that recollection. And when did that occur, ma'am?
Several times.
Tell me which times, at what point?
I don't remember the exact point.
Tell me as best you can, ma'am. When were the several times that you changed your gloves while you were at Bundy?
I don't remember exactly when I changed my gloves.
Well, give me approximately when, ma'am. You said it happened 2 or 3 times.
Next evidence states the evidence. Rephrase the question.
How many times did you say you did it, ma'am?
I changed my gloves many times. There's no reason to change it. You don't think about it. You just do it.
You said you have an independent recollection that you changed your gloves many times while you were at Bundy. Is that right?
Yes.
Tell me the first time you changed your gloves at Bundy, ma'am.
As I said before, I don't know the exact time when I changed my gloves.
Well, tell me what you were doing at the moment you changed your gloves the first time, ma'am.
I don't remember.
Do you remember what you were doing the second time you changed your gloves?
No, I don't think when I change my gloves, I just do it.
So you don't have any independent recollection as to what you were doing at any point when you say you changed your gloves.
That's correct.
And one moment. Now, ma'am, between the time that you picked up the hat and the glove at Bundy, you didn't change your gloves then, did you?
No,
And the reason you know that you didn't do that then is because you saw it on the videotape. Isn't that correct?
I did see a videotape, yes.
Well, and that's the reason you know that you didn't change your gloves then, isn't it?
At that point, yes.
In fact, I think you testified that until you saw the videotape, you didn't even have an independent recollection of having picked up the glove and the hat at Bundy that day. Isn't that correct?
Overruled.
I wasn't sure if I picked them up or Mr. Fong.
And so, in the absence of independent, I'm sorry. So, am I correct in stating that you didn't have an independent recollection of it until you actually saw the videotape?
I could not remember. That is correct.
Anybody on that? With permission, I just want to show the portion of the videotape where she's picking up the hat and the gloves.
Mr. Harris?
May I, with the court's permission?
Yes. Doesn't look like it. There we go. Do we have it queued up to the portion that's pertinent here? Because we've already seen this tape before, counsel.
No, that's what I'm asking for, just the portion where she's picking it up.
Well, my question was, is it queued up?
Yes, it is. Can you stop 1 second? Can you stop 1 second, thanks. Ms. Mazzola, you a lefty?
Right-handed.
Okay. You picked up the hat with your left hand, is that right?
Yes.
And, okay. And could you go forward?
All right, this is frame 1351 4618.
Stop. Stop. Now, Ms. Mazzola, at this point, you are using obviously the same hands with the same gloves, and you are opening up the bag, correct, for the next item.
Correct.
And the next item is the glove, right?
Correct.
And you are, okay, continue, please. And stop. Now, Ms. Mazzola, you used the same left hand to pick up the glove that you used to pick up the hat, right?
Correct.
In fact, you used the same fingers, didn't you?
I don't know if the exact same fingers, but I use the same hand.
All right. And Ms. Mazzola, you didn't, in between picking up the hat and the glove, look down to see whether or not you had picked up any other biological material or any trace evidence on your hand, did you?
No.
In fact, before you picked up the hat, you didn't inspect your hand to see whether or not you had any other biological matter on your fingertips, did you?
No.
And after you picked up the hat and put it in the bag, you didn't inspect your hand to see whether or not there was any trace evidence from the hat before you picked up the glove, did you?
No.
Had you been taught to do that, ma'am, at the Sid Mini Academy?
No.
Would you agree, ma'am, that it's possible to trace evidence from the hat can be transferred to the rubber glove, transferred to your rubber glove when you pick it up?
It's possible.
And would you agree, ma'am, that it's possible to trace evidence that's on your rubber glove can then be transferred to the leather glove when you pick that up?
Improbable, since I handled other items between picking up the hat and the glove.
Ma'am, did you say before that one way the trace evidence gets transferred from one object to another is when those two objects come in contact?
Correct.
And would you agree that not every time two objects come in contact does trace evidence move from one object to the next, right?
Depends on what type of items they are.
Depends on what type of items they are. It depends where the fibers are. Isn't that right?
Correct.
Depends where the hairs are.
Correct.
So you could handle several different things, and the hairs and fibers might not come off on the first thing or the second thing you touch, but might come off on the third item. Isn't that correct?
Correct.
Now, initially on direct examination, Ms. Mazzola, didn't you say that it wasn't necessary to change your gloves between picking up the hat and the leather glove because the two objects were touching? Did you testify to that on direct examination?
They were in close contact,
Did
yes.
you testify, not that they were simply in close contact, but did you testify that they were actually touching?
I don't remember if I said touching or close contact.
Well, would you agree, when we use, I'm sorry, when you use the expression close contact, does that mean touching to you, or does that mean that the two objects are close to one another but not actually touching?
Could be anywhere from extremely close to each other to actually touching.
Well, how did you mean it when you said in close proximity, ma'am,
Extremely close,
but not necessarily touching?
not necessarily touching.
23. Wait 1 minute. Line 23. Okay. Ms. Mazzola, when you testified on direct examination last week in this case, were you asked these questions and did you give these answers? Question. And did you change gloves in between collecting the hat and the glove? Answer, no. Question by Mr. Goldberg, why not? Answer. The hat and the glove at Bundy were touching each other. They were not in two completely separate areas. They were in physical contact with each other. Were you asked those questions and did you give those answers last week at this trial?
Apparently so, yes.
And ma'am, after you testified to that, there was a recess, wasn't there?
I don't know if there was a recess or not.
Well, later on, Mr. Goldberg asked you the same question again about the physical relationship to the hat and the glove. Did he not?
I don't remember.
Right. Reading now from page 23790.
Seven.
Hmm?
23790.
23790.
For what purpose?
To get a stipulation about a recess.
Proceed.
Are you ready on this other page? Sure. Well, starting on. One moment, Your Honor. Starting at line 24, 23. Okay. And ma'am, after the luncheon recess, were you asked?
Ask. you need a foundational question for it too.
Well, ma'am, at page 23790, will you ask these questions and did you give these answers? Question by Mr. Goldberg. Okay. Now, you said on direct examination, when I was asking you about collecting the glove and the watch cap, the cap, that they were in close proximity or touching. Answer, uh-huh. Question, which was it? Answer, reviewing photographs, they were in very close proximity to each other. When you ask those questions, did you give those answers?
Yes.
And just before you asked those questions and you gave those answers at page 23790, were you sitting in this courtroom and present when Judge Ito said to you,
Do you recall if there was a recess of any type in between those questioning?
I honestly can't remember when the recesses are.
All right, court will
Can I show
take.
the transcript, Professor Lynn?
We have a procedure called taking judicial notice of court's own proceedings. I will take judicial notice, and the jury is to assume to be true the fact that there was in fact a recess in between those two questions. It's a matter of the court's own record. Proceed.
Thank you. Now, during that luncheon recess, Ms. Mazzola, did the prosecutor tell you that the photographs would not support your testimony that the hat and glove were actually touching?
I object to this. Perhaps we can approach. I object to counsel's insinuations.
Do you have any discussion with the prosecutor or any attorney regarding this issue over the?
I looked at a photograph.
Is
Proceed.
that photograph shown to you by the prosecutor?
I can't recall who showed it to me, but I saw a photograph.
You didn't have it on your own. Someone else in this building had to show it to you. Is that right?
Correct.
And it was after you were shown those photograph or a photograph that you then changed your testimony after lunch. Is that correct?
I saw that they were extremely close, but not touching. Yes.
And so you changed your testimony after lunch. Is that correct?
I corrected it. Yes.
Thank you. And ma'am, is it your position that the reason you didn't have to change your gloves between picking up the hat and the glove is because the two items were in close proximity to one another?
Correct.
Well, when you make that decision that two objects in close proximity but not touching don't require a change of gloves on your part, are you assuming that the hat and the glove were worn by the same person?
I don't assume anything.
And you can't assume anything
That's
about that,
correct.
can you?
That's correct.
So you don't know whether or not the hat and the glove were worn by the same person, do you?
That's correct.
You certainly didn't know that at the time you were collecting the items.
That's correct.
And you don't even know when the items were placed at that location where you collected them. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
You don't know whether those two items were placed on the ground at different times, do you?
That is correct.
And isn't it true, since you can't assume either of those two facts, ma'am, that one cannot assume that just because two items are close to one another, although not touching, that the trace evidence on one will most likely be on the other?
Sustain.
Well, in the event that I'm sorry, one moment. When you pick up the hat, you have to be careful because there may be trace evidence on it. That's something that you were taught at the SID Mini Academy, isn't that right?
I was taught that. Yes.
And you're also taught to be careful with different items that are collected at a crime scene because they may have different types of hairs and fibers on them. Isn't that correct?
Not necessarily different hairs and fibers, but just hairs and fibers.
Well, were you taught to assume that all items found at a crime scene are likely to have the same hairs and fibers because they're found at the same crime scene?
There's no telling what type of hairs and fibers are present.
And there's no telling whether or not the same hairs and fibers on one object would be found on another object, correct?
Correct.
And you can't make that assumption based on how far apart two items are to one another, can you?
Correct.
So, ma'am, wouldn't you agree that your earlier testimony in this case that you didn't have to change your gloves between picking up the hat and the leather glove here because they were close to one another and therefore trace evidence on one would be on the other one is not really consistent with what you were taught by the SID people?
I don't know.
When you say you don't know, do you mean you don't know what the supervisors at SID taught you?
I'm saying I don't know if it would be inconsistent with.
Well, If the objects had been 15 feet apart, had you been taught by people at SID Academy to change gloves before picking up the different objects?
Gloves would be changed.
You were taught that they should be changed under those circumstances.
Well, if they're far apart, yes.
Well, I said 10 or 15 feet apart under
Right.
those circumstances.
Not getting down to exact distances, but far apart, yes.
Well, in your own mind, based on your own experience, do you consider 10 feet far apart?
Yes.
So you would change the gloves under those circumstances.
Yes.
How about 5 feet?
Yes.
3 feet?
Yes.
But you made a decision here that because the two items were within inches of one another, that you didn't have to change the gloves. Is that correct?
The decision to change gloves was made. We did not change gloves.
Was the decision made by you, or was the decision given to you by Dennis Fung?
I can't recall if I asked him about it or what. I'm not exactly sure what conversation we had at that
I mean, it
time.
may very well be that you asked Dennis Fung whether you should change your gloves for this situation. He said no.
It's possible.
Now, also on the 13th, did you recover a set of keys in the dirt at Bundy?
Yes.
And when you recovered that set of keys, Ms. Mazzola, did you notice that there was blood on them?
I can't recall if I remember seeing blood or not.
Well, would you agree, based on your training, that the presence of blood on keys might be evidence that someone used the keys to defend themselves?
Sustained.
Have you been trained as a criminalist to make an effort to identify relevant evidence?
Yes.
And have you been trained as a criminalist to identify when items of evidence have blood on them?
You notice if something has blood, yes.
And if it has blood on it, that's something that's going to get special attention from you as a criminalist, isn't it?
Special attention.
It is handled slightly differently.
And so if the keys had blood on them, as a criminalist, wouldn't you want to have those keys examined for serology purposes?
It is possible they would go to serology.
Well, don't the serologists and other people at SID expect the criminalist who is collecting the evidence to give them a debriefing, so to speak, of what you found and to hear your suggestions on as to what should be done? Isn't that something you're expected to do?
That would be up to the supervising criminalist.
Okay, and but you would agree that the supervising criminalist, whoever he or she may be in a given crime scene, is expected to brief the other people at SID as to what items may have relevant or potentially relevant evidence.
You can ask the question.
Yes.
And based on what you were taught, you would expect a supervising criminalist to tell the people at SID that keys that were recovered had blood on them.
Sustained.
Now, you also picked up an envelope which contained eyeglasses at the Bundy scene, didn't you?
Yes.
Did you see the body of Mr. Goldman dragged across that envelope?
No.
You noted on your field notes that morning that the envelope contained eyeglasses, correct?
Correct.
And in your training at SID, how about you read personally, or has anyone at SID read to you the following provision of the Los Angeles Police Department manual, referring to section 510.10?
This isn't a proper procedure, you're saying.
Sustained.
Well, in your training at SID, were you given instruction as to what methods to utilize for the proper booking of items of evidence?
Yes.
And were you told or instructed that when you take an item which is in a closed container, that you are expected to open that container to see what's inside. That's something you've been taught.
That is something that's been mentioned, yes.
And is there in fact a standard procedure utilized at SID for inspecting envelopes or other types of closed containers when you collect them to investigate what's inside?
I don't know if there's a standard procedure or not.
Was it your procedure to simply open the item and look inside and see what's there?
I leave that to the more experienced criminalists.
Well, you noted on your property. You noted on your property, I'm sorry, drawn. You noted on your field notes, Ms. Mazzola, that item 39 that was collected was an envelope with glasses. Is that correct?
Check the item number. Yes,
And did Mr. Fong open the envelope in your presence to show you that there was a pair of eyeglasses inside?
the envelope was not securely closed. You could see there were glasses inside.
Okay, so you saw a pair of eyeglasses inside just by looking through a partial opening in the envelope?
Correct.
And when you examined that pair of eyeglasses inside, did there seem to be anything unusual about it?
We just know that there were eyeglasses inside, and that was the extent of it.
I'm sorry, couldn't you hear the last part of your answer, ma'am?
So we just noted that there were eyeglasses inside the envelope, and that was the extent of it.
And at that point, when you peered into that envelope, you didn't notice that anything was missing from those pair of eyeglasses. Is that correct?
That's correct as far as I could see.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, I'd like the witness to open the envelope for item 39.
Do we have any butcher paper and
There.
gloves?
I guess you need gloves too.
Mr. Neufeld, I've asked Mrs. Robertson to see if she could get a sheet of butcher paper because of the nature of that item.
Thank you.
Why don't you just spread that out on the counter in front of you? All right, Mr. Neufeld, proceed. And this is evidence item, court evidence item, which Mr. Neufeld,
It's People's Exhibit number 32.
People's
This is
32.
The larger plastic bag.
Thank you. Proceed. Mr. Goldberg, if you want to stand behind counsel there, you're welcome to do so.
Now, Ms. Mazzola, before you begin opening this, the Ziploc bag, the large Ziploc bag that the items are in, can you tell what items are actually inside the Ziploc bag?
There's a brown paper bag with writing on it.
Okay.
There is a white envelope with writing on it, and appears to be a pair of glasses inside. And there appears to be 2 paper bindles with writing on each.
Now, the brown paper bag that you just described, would that be the brown paper bag that the white envelope with the eyeglasses in it was placed into at the crime scene?
Yes.
Okay. Could you please open the exhibit, please?
Don't you have that rule in New York? The witness is breaking the seals that are at the top zip part of the bag. Mr. Neufeld.
Now,
So she said, I heard her say this. Hi, guys. She said that the eyeglasses, when the eyeglasses were handed to her, it wasn't closed. The envelope was not closed. But the envelope that Sheck said was her giving bloody glasses to Fung, barehanded. That envelope was definitely sealed. It was folded down and sealed. Perry Mason moment, and Sheck isn't even here to enjoy it with me.
Would you please open the white envelope as well that was inside the bag? And remove the contents.
He just touched
Now,
it twice. He just touched it.
Ms. Mazzola, how many lenses are inside that envelope?
One.
And this lens that you see in the envelope isn't even in the eyeglasses, right? It's outside the glasses, correct? But when you looked in the envelope that day, you said there was nothing unusual about the pair of eyeglasses, correct?
Overruled.
I saw a pair of glasses.
You didn't notice, I'm sorry, which one? Would you please feel the rest of the brown paper bag to see if there's any other lens in that?
Does not appear to be anything.
And there are two small bindles in there. Could you feel those to see if there's a lens in that? You don't have to open it.
Does not appear to be a lens.
Ms. Mazzola, do you know what happened to the second lens after you collected this pair of eyeglasses on the morning of June 13th?
Since that's not evidence.
Sustained.
Ms. Mazzola, you said a moment ago that when you collected the item, it was a pair of eyeglasses, correct?
Correct.
And you said that they were intact at that point, correct?
Sustained.
Ms. Mazzola, did you say that you didn't notice anything at all unusual about the pair of eyeglasses?
Overruled.
I believe I said I noticed a pair of eyeglasses.
And did you also say that you didn't notice anything unusual when you peered into that envelope and looked at the pair of eyeglasses?
I noticed that there were a pair of eyeglasses in the envelope. I did not open the envelope.
Did you also testify a moment ago that when you looked into the envelope, though, you didn't notice anything unusual?
From what I could see, and as far as I looked, they were just a pair of eyeglasses.
And if a lens was missing from the pair of eyeglasses, that would be unusual, would it not?
That would be it.
Overruled.
That would be yes.
To your knowledge, has any investigation been conducted by the Scientific Investigation Division of the Los Angeles Police Department to find out where the second lens is? If she knows.
Facts, not evidence.
Sustained.
You can put that away now, man.
Thank you.
Actually, just wait 1 minute. With permission, I'd like to show another brief snippet of videotape.
Which videotape?
The videotape of that was shown both on the direct examination, also by the defense,
That doesn't help
Miss-
me. Which videotape?
of Ms. Mazzola passing the envelope to Dennis Fung,
That comment assumes facts that aren't in evidence, but you can show the videotape.
passing an item to Dennis Fung behind the coroners.
You can show the videotape.
Exhibit 1082.
It's infuriating.
We're looking at frames 1335, 10 to 13.
If you just back up a second, please.
I asked Google what lawyers think about the Dream Team. Lawyers have mixed opinions on the Dream Team of lawyers.
You said on direct examination.
Hold on, this is important. You shut up. Lawyers have mixed opinions on the Dream Team of lawyers that represented O.J. Simpson. While some acknowledge their skill in assembling a talented group, others criticize their tactics and ethical conduct. Some lawyers, like Alan Dershowitz, even referred to it as a nightmare team.
That the object was your opinion that the object that you were passing to Mr. Fung at this moment is not the envelope which contained the eyeglasses. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I believe you said that it was your practice not to pass an object that had blood on it to an individual who didn't have gloves on. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And is that your basis for concluding it's not the envelope?
That, and it does not appear to be the right packaging. The main thing is I would not pass anything with blood on it to an ungloved colleague.
Now, by the time you pick up that envelope, it's already sometime, what, around noon, would you say, on the 13th?
I don't know the exact time.
I agree.
Well, certainly later than 11 o'clock in the morning, right?
Yes,
And by that time, the blood on the envelope had dried, had it not?
it might have.
And ma'am, isn't it true that one side of that envelope doesn't have very much blood on it? Take a look at it.
That's correct.
Could you please show the jury, hold it up for the jury, first the side, the back of the envelope, which has a fair amount of blood on it. And now please turn it around and display for the jury the side of the envelope, which is pretty clean and doesn't have much blood on it. I withdraw that.
Jury can draw its own conclusion.
Would you agree, ma'am, that the object in the video is not a brown bag?
Does not appear to be.
Let me just ask, 1492, were you able to see that? All right, thank you.
One moment. Could you turn over the envelope, please? And would you agree that it is not a coin envelope?
It does not appear to be one of the smaller coin envelopes.
Well, Ms. Mazzola, when you were packing items of evidence that day, the keys, the beeper, and other items, you put them in envelopes such as this that I'm showing you right now, indicating prosecution's exhibit 1630, D as in David?
They were in coin envelopes. The size depending on the size of the item.
Ma'am, isn't it true that that day on June 13th, you had no coin envelopes that were the size of the object shown in the picture that you're looking at right now?
I can't recall if we had that size in the kits or not. I don't know.
It's not a plastic bag, is it, Ms. Mazzola?
No,
And it's not the posse box, is it, Ms. Mazzola?
no,
And all of your notes that day were being written on a clipboard, is that correct?
that's correct.
You didn't keep any small pad for any other purpose, did you?
No,
And that's not the clipboard, is it?
no.
Before you took the witness stand on direct examination, during your prep session, were you told that the defense in this case had suggested that this item in this picture was in fact the envelope that contained the glasses? Had you been told that?
I remember it being mentioned, yes.
And had you been told also that when Dennis Fung was confronted with that allegation, that Dennis Fung denied it?
Which allegation?
That that item that you see in that image is in fact the envelope that contained the eyeglasses. Were you told that Dennis Fung denied it?
I might have been told that.
Right, referring to the image at 1334:07.
Yes. At C? Being printed as sub-item C.
All right, 1082 sub C.
Right.
Thank you, Counsel.
Now, when you testified at the trial last week on direct examination, Mr. Goldberg simply put up this image and asked you whether it was the envelope. Is that correct?
Oh, well. Oh, well.
I believe so.
But when you were prepped on this particular matter during the prep sessions, you had been told that it was the defense position that it was the envelope, weren't you? You've been told that.
Yes, I believe so.
And when you were told that, didn't Mr. Goldberg or other prosecutors tell you that it was the prosecution's position that it was not the envelope?
I don't believe they told me that they believed it was not the envelope.
Did they tell you they believed it was the envelope?
I don't recall if they told me one way or another.
And now going to show another small segment of the videotape that was shown by the prosecutor on direct examination.
Which item?
1078. See the brown object on the blanket?
There appears to be a dark object off to one side, yes.
Now, when you saw this videotape, when you were being prepped, I'm sorry, you did see this videotape while you were being prepped, didn't you?
I saw the videotape, yes.
Well, I mean, you didn't see it for the first time when you were on direct examination in this trial, did you?
That's correct.
And when you were being prepped by, I'm sorry, and when you testified at the trial, you were asked by Mr. Goldberg, is that the leather glove? And I believe you said no. Is that correct?
Oh, well.
I don't know if those are the exact words.
In sum and substance. Would that be a fair statement, ma'am?
Oh, well.
That would be a fair statement.
Okay. But when you were prepped by the prosecutor in this case, weren't you told that it was the defense position that the brown object that you see on the white sheet of white blanket in this picture was in fact the Bundy glove? Were you told that?
I was asked if I remember the glove being there in that position. And then they mentioned that the defense was thinking it was the glove.
Okay. And so you knew when you testified at trial here and said it wasn't the glove, that the defense was taking the position that it was the glove, correct? You knew that before you took the witness stand.
I testified to where I remember seeing the glove myself.
Well, Ms. Mazzola, you knew before you got on the witness stand at this trial that the defense was taking the position that that was the glove, didn't you?
Yes.
And Ms. Mazzola, when you got on the witness stand here on direct examination, had you already been told that that glove had been moved at least once prior to the time that it was collected?
I think that I remember hearing that it had been turned over or moved slightly.
Had you been shown photographs which displayed the glove in two different locations?
Two different positions, yes.
All right. And would it be fair to say, Ms. Mazzola, that you didn't know when you saw the glove in those two different positions whether the glove had been moved from position one to some other position and then have had someone else return it to what you saw as position two? Is that a fair statement?
I just testified to where I remember seeing the glove when I saw it.
But Ms. Mazzola, even before you testified as to where you remember seeing the glove, you told us a moment ago that you were shown photographs which showed the glove in two different positions, correct?
Correct.
And would you agree that for the glove to get into two different positions, it had to have been moved by somebody or something? Would that be correct?
Oh,
Correct.
And isn't it also possible, Ms. Mazzola, that the glove was originally in the position displayed in the first photograph that you saw, and then somehow it got moved to another location, and then someone simply put it back close to where it was initially, and so you saw it in the second position?
sustained. All right, counsel, we're going to take our recess at this point. Ladies and gentlemen, please remember all of my admonitions to you. Do not discuss the case amongst yourselves. Don't form any opinions about the case. Do not conduct any deliberations till the matter has been submitted to you. and do not allow anybody to communicate with you. And we will resume at 10:30. Ms. Mazzola, you may step down. If you would, repackage those items, please, and return them to Mrs. Robertson. We'll be in recess for 15. Again, on the witness stand, undergoing cross-examination by Mr. Neufeld. Good morning again, Ms. Mazzola.
Good morning.
You're again reminded you are under oath.
Undergoing cross-examination. He couldn't even say the words because that's not what she's undergoing. She's undergoing trauma.
Mr. Neufeld, you may conclude.
You may conclude, he said. You may conclude.
In direct examination, Ms. Mazzola, you testified that a criminalist must use his or her discretion in deciding which items to collect.
Correct.
And I believe you testified that a criminalist can't simply pick up every little bit of paper at a crime scene. Is that correct?
Correct.
And I believe it was your position that if you do that, you're simply adding a lot of garbage. Is that what you said, ma'am?
Something to that effect.
Now, I'll show the witness item, exhibit 1080, 1080. Now, Ms. Mazzola, you see the piece of paper on the tile in between the person who was pointing and the white envelope?
On the tile?
Did you see a piece of paper on the ground?
There appears to be something on the tile.
Well, it's an object
On the
other
wall.
than the tile itself. Is that correct?
Excuse me, Mr. Neufeld, you need to let Ms. Mazzola finish answering.
Sorry, Your Honor. Sorry, Ms. Mazzola.
It appears to be something other than the tile.
And I'd like you to take a look at the photo itself. You may see better resolution, Ms. Mazzola.
Okay.
Would you agree that it appears to be a piece of paper that's on the sitting on the tile?
Yes.
And Ms. Mazzola, that piece of paper was not collected by you on June 13th, was it?
No, I did not remember seeing the paper on June 13th.
And you never saw Dennis Fung collect that piece of paper, did you?
No.
Had you seen that piece of paper, you would have certainly collected it, wouldn't you?
I would have looked at it to find out what it was.
Well, wouldn't you be concerned as a criminalist that that piece of paper found so close to the body of Nicole Brown Simpson could have a fingerprint belonging to the assailant?
Yes, it's possible.
And that if the assailant was bleeding at this point in time, that piece of paper might have a drop of blood that belonged to the assailant, correct?
It's a possibility.
That piece of paper might even have writing on it, which would give some indication as to either the identity or the motive of whomever or however many people that were involved in this case were the assailants.
Sustain.
In other words, Ms. Mazzola, that piece of paper found so close to the body of Nicole Brown Simpson could have been a very relevant piece of evidence.
Sustain, but the jury can draw their own conclusion given the proximity.
Now, Ms. Mazzola, calling your attention now to the drops of blood that were on the walkway at Bundy. You collected 5 drops of blood. Is that correct? 5 blood stains on that walkway.
Let me check and make sure exactly
do.
how many.
Okay, guys, we're going to leave it at that for today. She's still here. Look, he's not concluded. He's not going to conclude for another 5 frickin' weeks. Easily. Oh, well. Don't worry. We'll get there. We'll get to the defense soon. We will. We will. Thanks for coming out today, guys. I'll see you again real soon. Bye.